To start off, the background of the project, the personal finance app. So basically, everyone has to manage their expenses, no matter how much money they have. They have to calculate the expenses such as their daily, monthly, and occasional spendings. Keeping track of it all can be complicated and difficult at times, especially when one has many commitments. For example, in the past, the norm was to prepare a notebook specifically to keep track of these things, like a ledger of sorts. But even so, finding the exact record of a purchase or payment in the book could be a tiring task, as there was no way to search for it. Like, let's say you made a record for your expenses in the past 3 months. Searching for an exact record of something you paid for would be very difficult because you won't remember when you paid for it. A better system would greatly help people in keeping track of their expenses. And in this age of technology, such a system can be made. Now, I will be talking about the problem statement. Traditional notebook expense management is outdated, and it's not useful now in a time where there are more potential commitments compared to the past. For example, now we have gym memberships, we have software packages that require a monthly or yearly payment, such as the Microsoft Office packages. We have media streaming subscriptions, such as Hulu and Netflix. Depending on the size, carrying a notebook everywhere we go to record our expenses can be troublesome. Let's say, for instance, one loses the notebook, then all the financial history disappears just like that, which will most definitely result in serious repercussions for them in the future. Of course, they could make a backup every so often, but that would be very tiring. And now I'll talk about the aim of the project. So, the aim is to develop a platform to record user expenses and to help users to keep track and remind them of their expenses, like groceries, phone bills, and internet bills. And lastly, to help users manage their money more efficiently.
Okay, we move on to objectives of this project are to record user expenses, to remind users of their monthly commitments such as electricity bills, water bills, and other similar subscription payment. Third, to help users find and view their financial history easily. Justification of this project. Purpose of this project is to replace the traditional method and help users record their expenses digitally. Smartphone, being an important asset for nearly everyone, is the perfect platform for financial management system. Creating a mobile application for it ensures that a vast majority of the world will have access to an efficient system to keep track their expenses. This method will be more reliable and systematic than the traditional method. Calculation will automatically be made by the app, so users have less thing to do. User will be reminded of their predict commitment, so they will never forget to pay their bills anymore. Next is scope of this project. Scope is like boundary or limitation for this project. Objective to record users' expenses through the mobile application. Activities that involved in this project are propose the idea, present the idea, and get the project approved. Create first prototype based on the initial requirements. Test the prototype, evaluate them, and make adjustment continuously until the final prototype is approved. Boundaries limited to offline usage only, so this app doesn't require internet. Limited to few basic functions only. Success criteria to measure this application is success, application can record users' expenses, search for records in the history, and remind them of due date of specific payment.
Next is project methodology. Methodology is when we use the method of our project and the tools that we will use in this project. So IDE we will use Android Studio, and then the programming language we will use Java language, and then database we will use SQLite, and then software development methodology we will use prototyping. Move on to the next slide is project deliverables. So project deliverable is what we want to submit or to deliver our project. So the first one is we will submit project proposal, and then software requirement specification SRS, and then after that software design document, so SDD, and then we will create our first prototype, and then we will test using test readiness review TRR, and then we will create our end product. After that we will present our project. The next slide is for project plan. So project plan is, as you can see in the slide, we got project proposal, requirement gathering. In the requirement gathering we got research and analysis, and then list of requirements. After list of requirements we got prototypes. In the prototype we got analyze and design, and then implementation, testing, and evaluation. After that, lastly we will deploy our project.
Next, we move on to constraints and assumptions. For constraints, the project has a limited source of funding. Developers need to follow the project plan as scheduled and cannot exceed the project deadline. The project has limited available resources, and some resources are inconsistent. For our assumptions, the application is user-friendly. The application is able to calculate all expenses recorded by the user. The system can only help users manage their expenses. The project plan may change as new information and issues are revealed. All project participants will abide by the guidelines identified in the project plan. The resources that we will use in the project plan are as follows. For the software, we will use Android Studio as the development IDE. Next, SQLite for the required libraries. And for the hardware, we will include different types of Android devices. As the conclusion of this project, the personal finance app PFA will be a mobile application designed to keep track of users' expenses and remind them of bills and other commitments they may have. The project also aims to replace the traditional system whereby people keep track of their expenses through physical notebooks or ledgers. That's all from us. Thank you.